エンジョイゲーマーの武器です。はい、というわけで、続き。今度はアウター、なんかいろいろと。飛ばしますね。
Year of Obsidian, with Avowed releasing early this year and now ending the year with 2 more games. And what better way to cap this incredible year for us than...
Thank you so much.
Think about
とりあえ
it.
ず
That's what makes it no
PV を見
releases.
たいので、ゲームプレイ映像が流れるまでちょっと。
Part 2.
アウターは2。
Let the killing commence.
FPS 近接もあると。ちょっとやらかしがあったんでちょっと。
It's a continuation of the themes of robber barons in space and how people are controlled by the stories they're told by the people who have power over them. This time we're able to go a lot deeper because we have more than we were the first, which is a great thing, and we're able to make it a much more true Obsidian reactive RPG than we were the first time around. So we're going deeper and more complex with everything for this sequel. Deeper story, lore, RPG interactions, reactivity, all the things we've been known for as a company. It's really a complete realization of everything people want from an Obsidian game. Surprisingly, this is the first time in over 25 years that I've had the chance to do a full sequel for a world that I helped co-create. It's really just a fantastic opportunity to explore and expand the universe in interesting ways, and to go even further with the themes of how people are affected by living in a dystopian corporate reality.
You can shoot your way through it, you can talk your way through it, you can sneak your way through it. And so no matter what kind of playstyle that you like, this is just an awesome franchise and an awesome game to jump into, even if it's your first one.
The first Outer Worlds was a great base to start from, as it has all the elements of a great Obsidian RPG. Interesting characters, deep worlds, important choices. In the Outer Worlds 2, not only did we want to double down on those elements, but we wanted to give players even more of it.
We've also put a lot of investment into skills and traits that impact things like combat, conversations, and areas that we call RPG interactions, which are the part of the world where players can use their specific skills, perks, and backgrounds to solve problems in unique ways in our new, bigger worlds.
I love a deep RPG experience, and building out that RPG crunchiness for our players was at the forefront of what we set out to create. We prioritize those deeper RPG options with different character builds and combos so players can express their role-playing power fantasies. We also have different equipment options for different playstyles and different companions with different abilities. In the first Outer Worlds, you start off as the Stranger, which was basically a blank slate to build on top of with various attribute points that would begin to define your personal experience in the game. You can make any kind of character you want, but we've given you a role. That role is an Earth Directorate agent. You can think of them as kind of like space cowboys or space sky marshals. They're the good guys that go into places and kind of fix everything that's wrong. You're gonna be one of those. But we don't tell you why you joined the Earth Directorate. There could have been a lot of different reasons, right? It could have been because you're an actual lawbringer and you want to go in there and spread law throughout the galaxy. It could be that you're a roustabout and you just had nothing better to do. After you pick your background, one of the really important choices you have next is choosing your traits. While we had attributes in the first Outer Worlds, we've leaned into traits for the Outer Worlds 2, which are these big changes to your character depending on which ones you pick. So it could be something like Brilliant, where you can tag extra skills and you start getting extra skill points. And that's obviously really great if that's how you want to build your character. You can also go and do something like Lucky, where you get extra critical chance, and you also get a lot of really cool options throughout the game as well. Of course, we brought back Dumb, so players love the Dumb option.
Tell me, do you believe in signs? Not quite. quite what I meant, but I like your contempt for boundaries. I could put your adventure spirit to
海外の
good use.
RPG でこういうスタイルが一般的なんでしょうかね。
conversation options in the game, but we took that even further. And again, there's lots of elements in the game where you can be dumb and use that for something. Could be something as simple as banging on a machine to get it to work. After you've invested in some of your traits, your next choices are going to be choosing your skills. The skills themselves basically allow you to build on your playstyle and what your character is doing in the game. That will be everything from playing stealthily to speccing for an explosive specialty. Throughout your entire journey, your character continues to change with the different choices you make. In the Outer Worlds 1, we actually had more skills than we have, so we condensed them down to really the core and essence of what we really wanted there. But we made each point that you put into a skill much more impactful. So instead of getting small percentage changes, we actually did much larger changes per point that you put into each skill. And again, all these things, because of how they're checked inside the world itself, can matter quite a bit. You know, just even having one additional skill point in something can open up a lot more options in the world itself. If anybody's played Fallout New Vegas, they'll be very familiar with like the perk system. We basically borrowed that, but went even grander. We actually have more perks than Fallout New Vegas did. But here's the cool thing, right? We check and use perks for literally everything, right? So you can do everything from, hey, I want to make a stealthy build that steals stuff and is really good at that. Okay, great. Well, you can take maybe the pickpocketing perk. So that's not available to everybody, but if you select that, now you can actually go around and steal things out of people's pockets.
3ですね、スターフィールド。
There's another perk called heavy-handed, right? Where say you're a melee person, what this does is now your power attacks that you use actually knock people down.
これは面白そうですね。おお、後ろから。
Oh man, I really like the serial killer perk. As you start killing people, they will drop hearts. And you can take those hearts, and essentially you're taking these trophies, you could say, and it's actually giving you a permanent health bonus every time you do it. We have this perk called Assassin. Now, this is an early game perk that you can take, which every time you stealth attack an enemy, you're actually going to get a movement bonus for a certain amount of time.
Flaws were a system that everybody loved from the first game, but we wanted to make it more personal to the player. We wanted it to really reflect how you were playing the game and give you a bonus that you actually wanted to really engage with.
With the flaw system returning, we knew we needed to go bigger, better, and more real than ever before. So, we turned to the team. I told them, no bad ideas. Give me what you got. Okay, we need more flaws. We need them to be real. I want to put them in the game, so give me something. Inspiration. What's wrong with you?
Oh, I have
ちょっと待ってますね。
I
Time can't.
会話のとこ飛ばします。すみません。おっと。
is something we'll put in bad knee, move faster throughout the game. But the problem is, anytime you stand up, your knees are going to make a loud humming noise that makes it so that, well, everyone around you is going to hear you.
There's one called Kleptomaniac. This is really interesting because what it does is when you steal something, you can actually sell it for more bits than normal. And like that sounds really great. The drawback is sometimes when you're looking at things in the world that are owned by somebody else, you'll automatically steal them. So you have to be very careful about how you use them.
One of our more wacky perks is the Sun Gazer Flaw, and it just gives everyone cataracts while playing their game. So everything becomes like light shafts and blooms and hazes, and makes the game pretty unplayable if you happen to choose that perk.
If you happen to be the type of player that habitually reloads your weapons like I do, well, you'll be offered the flaw of over-prepared. Now, you'll get larger magazine sizes on all of your weapons, but if you ever fully empty your magazine, you're gonna take a debuff for a while. While we support options like being a gunslinger who wants to key into destructive weapons, or a rogue who wants to alpha strike their enemies before they know what hit them, we also allow for a lot of fun and experimental builds. You can be a mad scientist who utilizes gadgets and wacky science weapons and armors, or even a psychopath who gains permanent bonuses to health by murdering their friends.
Nothing shows the impact of these character build options better than, in my opinion, the bridge area, which has a quest you get early on in Paradise Island.
bridge.
Not only do you kind of encounter this very early, and it's a very core one to the story, but it really expresses our philosophy of allowing the player to solve problems in a bunch of ways. So you may solve it by, speech options. You may talk to them and maybe have to go do a quest for them and really kind of prove that you're a friend of the Protectorate to get by.
I may have need of your help, stranger, if you are ready to seize an opportunity to show fealty to the Protectorate.
You could go guns blazing, and you could just take everyone out inside the POI, lower the bridge itself, and kind of get across. You could sneak in, lower the bridge, and then actually sneak in under the bridge to get over to the other side. You can bypass the bridge entirely if you found like certain gadgets, like the shield gadget that protects you from poison gas as you go across, or the double jump boots, which kind of allow you to jump across the chasm. There's even a really kind of messed up way, right? Which is players can actually sacrifice one of their companions. Their companion who they just found is part of.
We're no different than the Breeze if we start tossing our own to the rats. I sure as law ain't gonna follow someone who can't see the wrong in it.
I must admit, I'm surprised we could come to an understanding. But I thank you for your loyalty, stranger. As promised, you shall have clearance to cross this bridge.
It's such a fun quest, but again, it really showcases that we want you to be able to solve this in whatever way you want to. When you build your character your way, we're there for you. We really want you to have the experience that you want to have out of this.
From the very beginning of our discussions about the Outer Worlds, we aspects of the universe. Any ideas are set forces, and it's run by an authoritarian faction called the Protectorate. Their dictatorship is thematically based around the question of how much freedom people will give up for security and luxury. For Protectorate subjects, unfortunately, that answer is everything. The Protectorate is also incredibly wealthy because it was founded by the inventor of the skip drives, which are the Outer World's faster-than-light engines. But those skip drives are starting to cause rifts in space-time, which are cutting off all the other colonies on Earth from being able to trade with each other. The Order of the Ascendant is an offshoot of the Order of Scientific Inquiry from the original game, and like them are a science-based religion with the same goal of solving the universal equation, which will allow them to predict and alter the future to the benefit of all mankind. They used to be part of the Protectorate, but they split off to focus on solving the equation for the good of everyone, not as a way to simply control the masses. The player's been sent to Arcadia as an Earth Directorate agent to find out how the skip drives are causing the rifts and what can be done to stop them. Each of the factions have their own solutions to the rift problem and their own goals. The Protectorate wants to close them to protect their legacy as the inventor of the drives and their wealth. The Order wants to close them not only for the good of everyone, but also because they're complicating the math they're using to solve the universal equation. And Antes just wants to be able to open and close them at will to control all the trade routes between the colonies. In addition to expanding the themes and lore of the Outer Worlds, we're also expanding the humor, so each faction has its own flavor of the game, and there are corporate. Anti's Choice is a merger between Anti-Cleo and Spacer's Choice from the original game, and there are corporate representatives in the Outer Worlds too. They've invaded Arcadia to liberate their resources for all of humanity, at a profit, of course.
One of my favorite things from Fallout New Vegas. So we actually built out 3 different radio stations, one for each of the major factions. You also have a ton of music. Each station might have like, I think 20 tracks of unique music that we've made for it. It's a lot of stuff. But the really cool part about this entire thing is that we actually put a lot of reactivity into the radio. So it will respond to the things that are going on around the world that you've been interacting with. So if you go into a location, let's say you solve a problem for the Protectorate folks, if you listen to the Protectorate radio station, they're going to be cheering you on as a hero.
Wonderful news, everyone. The Zeranium gas leaks at the Automech repair facility, strongly believed to be caused by Anti's Choice malefactors, have been corrected.
Some hotshot for hire just managed to fix the electrum leak in their repair facility. I'm not saying we caused it in the first place, but we sure like the idea of all those broken automechanicals and all the excessive gasping and choking involved.
The factions and companions are great examples of how we're going deeper and more complex. And like with everything usual, each has a player can affect you, and he's looking for your help to decide whether he wants to become an even better agent or to turn his back on the Earth Directorate completely. There's also a somewhat cute automech support drone that is basically Niles' helper. Her name is Val. Marisol's part of the Order of the Ascendant, and she's an aging but still deadly assassin. That's right, she's a deadly mathematician who may or may not have some unfinished business to attend to with the player's help. There's also a cultist named Azza who is part of a sub-faction that worships the rifts, and in her case, violence in general. You can choose to either turn her away from overt violence or support her chaotic and dangerous tendencies. At one time, Auntie's Choice had a program to graft soldiers with animal parts to make them more formidable. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work and most of them are now dead. There's a combat medic who survived, however, named Inez, and she wants the player to help her fix her graft, among other things. Finally, there's Tristan. He's a protected arbiter who is judge, jury, and executioner all rolled into one heavily armored package. It is your choice to either help him judge wrongdoers or show him what true justice looks like.
We definitely have reactivity in the game based on how you've been treating your companions. I won't reveal the end of the game, but let's say if you've not been treating them well, you will find out at the end of the game what that means.
Companions are a very, very important part of merchandising because that's the real beauty of the sequel. We're talking merch, baby. It is the lifeblood. It is what fuels us. Do you want to see some of my ideas? Hop, hop. Check this out. Right?
The visuals of the first invasion of a World War I-like setting in space. That evolution is seen across all aspects of the game, starting with the factions. How do you militarize everything, including extreme capitalists or math-crazed scientists? In a World War I setting, war comes with propaganda. The Sovereign uses it to maintain control. It's been a scene more reminiscent of the Arcadia colony system by Auntie's Choice, which shifts to the extreme capitalists or math-crazed scientists to maintain control. Auntie's Choice uses it to help their bottom line. The Order just wants to show how it exists within the grand plan. We want players to feel like Arcadia is a living, breathing place scarred by a long-standing war. Fairfield, one of the first towns you encounter, was once under protectorate control, but has recently been taken over by Auntie's Choice. They don't just occupy the town, they rebrand it with their signature style, repainting buildings, posting guards, and adding propaganda-based holograms featuring Auntie and the Moon Man. Showing the towns evolving after the invasion helps us push immersion for our players. One of our priorities is visible from the player standpoint. Players running across these vast, different environments and landscapes, they're recognizing the motifs and visuals of who they're talking to, what they're going to be talking about, and how that progresses throughout the story. The first Outer Worlds was really about player interfacing with corporations, and then we
exploration, double jump, mantle, and parkour across the board. Now you can run, slide, double jump, mantle, and parkour your way through all of the nooks and crannies of these worlds. It really allows the player to just explore and have fun finding really cool stuff.
We've aimed to make everything in the Outer Worlds to our art and a original. That's first and foremost, right? Like we all want to add to do here. You're saying how to do.
I'm very printed. Seen it yet? COMBAT. Thinking what? See, take those. Not you. Optimize. Want to make them happy. They're ready for. You know, blowing my body. Combat into. Huh? Okay. T.
That means 3.
Anything. And if I could just.
For the Outer Worlds, each weapon, the way a weapon snaps into ADS, the way recoil feels when firing, and how impactful our sound effects really sell the weapon's fantasy, to things like how a unique reload animation can add a lot of character to each weapon. We've increased the variety of weapons by including new weapon types, but also through a host of fun and unique weaponry. We have things like the Force Blaster that fires out tumors that can explode like grenades, or can even be eaten by the player for additional health. We have a weapon called Rookie's Reward that will actually level up the more you use it throughout the game.
こういう系な RPG でこういう系の RPG って今スターフィールドの時に思ったんですけど
We have a really fun weapon called the pop-up gun. It fires out bad drones that will
レベ
distract
ル
your
上げてしまえば
enemies,
多
corporate
少
ads,
エ
slogans,
イ
and
ム悪くても
While your enemies are
ワンパンで
distracted,
きたりする
you
から
can
い
focus fire
い
on
で
them
すよ
or
ね
explode these drones for additional damage. New to the Outer Worlds 2 are throwables. So you can use frag grenades to flush out enemies, smoke grenades to camouflage and escape, distraction devices to bait enemies into a stealth attack, and even science grenades that will levitate enemies, allowing you to fire upon them while they float helplessly. And of course, science weapons are back. We have returning favorites, like the shrink ray. This time it's been upgraded, so you can shrink your enemy down to the size of a sprat and run over them, exploding them into bits.
Shrink ray, that was probably my favorite one from the first game, so we brought it into the second game, but we improved it though. So instead of, and we actually added in the ability to step on them and kind of squish them and kick them, because we knew that that was the player fantasy. We knew that's what everybody wanted to do. They wanted to step on the enemies, they wanted to kick them. So we made sure to double down on that.
In addition to things like our returning favorites we get in that stick to people or cover or all kinds of different things, and they will continue to just hit them until they get destroyed. And we have another one that's just super cool called the Spectrum Dance Saber. This is a melee weapon that actually lets you attack to a musical beat. And if you continue to do that, you'll actually get additional bonuses each hit you do. One of my personal favorite weapons is called the Big Bang. It's just a big freaking gun that uses material harvested from rifts to shoot out a giant ball of energy, vaporizing everything in its path. Now, ammo's extremely rare for this weapon, but you can use it in just the right situation to devastating effects.
Another great one is Gary. If you wear Gary, he will lash out at your opponents as you're walking through combat. So we even have from a science perspective.
Players who prefer to be immersed in a first-person view, taking in all of the details. But there are others who really prefer to take the world in from a third-person perspective. Why not allow both? Well, now you can swap between the two, letting you enjoy the experience in whatever way you like. One of the things I really like about having the third-person mode is being able to see all of the fun and unique armors and armor combinations and weapons that you can equip your player with. All of the actions that you could do in first person, so you're double jumping around, you get to see your character in that way, and you get to take in the world and see things in a different light.
The Outer Worlds 2 is really the biggest game we've ever made. In each of the worlds the players, and we can't
release playing our games here. It feels amazing to do. We're so excited for more people to be playing our games. It is truly an exciting time for our city. We're exploring worlds big and small while expanding on franchises that we've created, and we have no plans to slow down. We hope you all continue to come along with us as we do what we do best, your way. We do best, make your worlds your way.
This is the Outer Worlds 2ですね。アウターワールズ2。アウターワールズ1もしあったらちょっとやってみようかな。
With the Outer Worlds 2, we're all about the best place to play, which is also, but maybe out. I'm getting and Sinclair, an expert play. My joke will really nice.
野球ボールがでかなってるというか、プレイヤーが小さいんですよね。やっぱりなんか見たことあるような。
What started as a small passion project to make a quirky game where you're shrunk down to the size of an ant, trying to survive in the backyard, grew into something way bigger than we ever imagined. Over 25 million of you jumped in, explored, built, crafted, and fought off giant bugs together. Y'all helped make the entire experience very special to us. The team's been cooking up a ton for Grounded 2, and we're so excited to talk about it. I had to grease some palms to steal a bit of time from the direct to give you a deeper look. There were so many possibilities and ideas that didn't make it into the first game, so with the sequel, we have the chance to dream bigger. To achieve those dreams, we partnered with the amazing folks at Eidos Montreal together we're taking Grounded from the backyard to an even larger world.
あ、やっぱりそうですね。やっぱりそうですね。
When we started working on Grounded 2, we knew that we wanted a
Grounded
bigger world. Fortunately for us, Eidos Montreal became our main partner on developing Grounded
やっぱそうですね。
They have a lot of
実はね、グラウンデッドのプレイドが
the sorts of things
名前
that
の
are important to us at Obsidian.
名前とそのあれが一致しなかったんですけど、ああ、それの続編ってことですね、これね、そしたら。
Everyone at Eidos Montreal is
なんか
thrilled
ね
and honored to be working with Obsidian Entertainment. Our two studios share a lot of DNA. The same
マル
things
チ
that
プ
are
レイでき
important
る
to
っぽいん
Obsidian
ですよね。
Entertainment are important to us. Choice and consequences, player communities, and doing justice to great IPs and great franchises. The fact that we're the first partners that they're working with to make a sequel.
Events of Grounded 2.
Max, Hoops,
Willow,
and Pete.
They're a couple years older, which means they've gone through a bit more high school, a bit more mature.
まず
It's
そうですね。
1992.
そうなんか
World's a
こ
little
う
bit different.
こうだよ
But
ね。
we're still in that
あ
fun,
あ、
nostalgic
でかい。
era of the early 1990s. In Grounded 2, we're
そ
moving
う
the action
正
out of the
直その
backyard and
いい
into
ね、面白そうやなと思
the
ったんですけど、
community park.
ちょっと虫のね、あれがちょっとあれかなと思ったんですけど、でも面白い。ゲームパスで遊べるんやったら、やってみようかな。
The park overall is about 3 times the size of the backyard, and our initial starting area is actually the same size as the entire backyard from the first Grounded. The reason we wanted to move into a park wasn't just to create a bigger world, but was to give us the opportunity to explore the community of Brook Hollow and what secrets have they been hiding.
What we love and what we're excited about in terms of the park is the opportunity to create environments and landmarks that are
このロボットなんか
mundane
見た
and
ことあるぞって
normal
思って
size,
たんですよ。
but are colossal wonders when you're the size of an ant. Everything from a giant trash can to a community picnic table or a snack bar. All of these areas come to life in a brand new way.
Part of the fun in Grounded 2 is that the park was evacuated really quickly right before our teens were shrunk. And that means that the park has been sort of turned upside down and is in a topsy-turvy state.
Wow.
And that leads to really fun environmental storytelling, but it also leads into the creation of amazing biomes for our characters to explore. One of my favorite examples of this
これはあ
is
れ
the
で
ice
す
cream
ね。
cart.
いつ出るかによりますけど、あとゲームパス対応してるかどうかにもよりますけど、やろうかな。
And what this means for our young adventurers is that they'll be able to explore this frozen cave of interesting challenges and colorful Lovecraftian horror.
We have one anthill that's actually somebody decided to bury a bunch of toxic stuff in the park, and so there's all these toxic chemicals underground. The environment looks very cool and very spooky with all of these sort of chemical pools, and of course nothing can live down there except for one type of
なん
insect.
か最近いろんなゲームで、うわー、こういう虫がね、でかい
We're
虫が、
oftentimes reinventing environments, and in future
で
updates
かい
you're
虫
going
が
to
ね、
see
ち
a
ょっと
ton
ね、
of
で
new
も、
stuff. You do a lot of fighting against insects of
でも、
all shapes and sizes. We didn't just want it to look better. We also knew we wanted to add a new layer
で
of
もまあ、
strategy. The
正
changes
直
that
こ
we
のやって
made
るこのゲ
aren't
ーム
limited
のなん
to
か
tuning
虫っぽい、
animations or adjusting
カマ
attack
キリ
or
ですよね。
defense numbers or making characters or insects move faster or slower. But we did all that too. But there's also an entire sort of rock, paper, scissors strategy involving light attacks, heavy attacks, and blocking. We've also added dashing as a new way to both get out of danger quickly or jump in for a quick attack. And almost all the insects in the game will have these abilities now too. Sort of like a chess match, but one that's super frenetic, looks super cool, and is ultimately just a ton of fun. We're leaning into clear play styles for tanky warriors,
あ、なんかそういう要素が追加されてるんですかね。
effect-wielding mages,
なんか
and ranged hunters. In the first Grounded, we have mutations, and there were weapons and armors that favored different playstyles. In Grounded 2, not only will there be passive mutations, but there will also be active mutations. And a lot of those mutations support these archetypes.
My favorite way to play pretty much any game is chasing after those game-breaking builds. And that's why I'm so excited for what we're doing with archetypes in Grounded 2. I'm all in on the rogue. Now, you can even dual-wield daggers. I've been dialing in this glass cannon build that stacks ambush, assassin, and cardiofan mutations with the wolfbane daggers and the wolf spider armor. It lets me open up combat with massive backstab damage that also inflicts venom. Then, I can use the extra stamina to reposition and try to dodge, rinse, and repeat. It's high risk, high reward, and absolute chaos in all the best way. I'm looking forward to seeing what wild combos the community comes up with and what they inevitably break once they get their hands on the archetype system. It's going to be awesome watching with player feedback and watching us try to keep up with all of your game-breaking builds.
One of the great things about Grounded is the variety of players it attracts, from builders to crafters and everything in between. If you've ever watched me on Casually Grounded livestream, you'd know that I'm neither. I am a murderer of insects. Personally, I prefer the term harvester. I love going out, hitting things, and bringing the materials like insect body parts back to my friend's seeds. This way, we keep progressing and playing together.
What?
We're also trying to make sure that armor and equipment are easily understood by the player, especially when they're playing co-op with their friends. It was really important for us to deliver on all of that for the bigger space and experience, because that was the only way we could truly support the feature the community has been asking for since the very first Grounded release. Mounts. Our mounts, we call them buggies, have an entire suite of moves and have their own special abilities and attacks.
We really wanted the buggies to be an extension of the player in every way possible. And that meant making sure that buggies had unique and valuable abilities across all the core pillars of Grounded. So that doesn't just mean exploration and travel. That has gameplay implications for combat, crafting, and building as well. Just like how we wanted to expand on player playstyles throughout the game, we're going to make sure that every buggy that we add has its own personality.
The Red Ant Soldier can enlist up to 2 Red Ant workers to follow you around and help you out. If you get into combat and you don't want to fight while you're saddled on your buggy, you can jump off and they'll fight right alongside you and provide support. The Orb Weaver buggies are a little less useful when it comes to general utility, like building a base or harvesting, but they're awesome when it comes to combat. Sure, their defenses aren't super strong, but they're heavy hitters. They're also super fast, and they have some great special abilities, like a scream that allows them to stun lesser-powered insects, and the ability to shoot webs and entangle other creatures. So the Orb Weavers won't be a base-building buggy. You should use the Red Ant Soldier for that. But they're super fun for exploration and combat. Red Ant Soldiers and Orb Weaver Spiders will be available at game preview launch. There will be others in the future, but those are the 2 we're starting with. The connection that our Grounded community has with us is something we want to keep forging with the sequel as we make an even bigger game than the original.
Pretty much from day one, we knew we wanted to return to game preview for Grounded 2. Sure, it comes with some trade-offs, like the game's not done and it's out to the world. But there's so much value in building it alongside the community. Buggies change how you traverse and navigate the park. What we're doing with Grounded 2 is we're actually keeping zip lines held back so we can see how players engage with buggies, and then we can tweak zip lines to bring them back over time to really complement that buggy experience and make exploring the park far more fun. That kind of feedback loop helped shape the original Grounded, and we wanted to shape the design for Brook Hollow Park, archetypes, buggies, all of it. We also learned a lot from that first time around. One thing that stood out immediately, players blaze through our content, especially the story. That makes sense. Story, characters, world building, that's kind of Obsidian's thing. It's the flavor we bring to the survival genre. So this time, we're starting with a much bigger baseline.
There's been an explosion at Brook Hollow Park. Chaos descended on a ceremony commemorating the 2-year anniversary of when 4 teenagers were miniaturized against their will.
One of our favorite parts of the first game was watching the
これ
community
前作やってた方がいい感じですね。
and spin up theories. This time
多
around,
分
we're leaning even more into that, and we'll be keeping a close eye on what our players discover and
グ
how
ラ
they
ウンデ
interpret
ッ
it.
ドね。
Because you never know what might inspire us as development
ちょっと
moves
飛ばしま
forward.
すね。
We really
時間ないんでちょっと。
Team with all of you. So, you can
大
take
体
your
どういうゲー
dates
ムかって分
launching
か
with
っ
a
たんで。
public
Entertainment and IDOS mantra a second time and explore. We're really looking forward to you experiencing all the improvements, if perspective, and in an entirely new feel awaits you in Brook Hollow Park. It's time to ride together and survive together.
グラウンデッド2。あ、これはちょっと待って。7月29。あ、あれですね。振り返りですね。ということで、すごいいっぱい発表されましたねっていう。はい。というわけで、見てきました Xbox ショーケース&アウター、Xbox ショーケース、アウターワールズ&グラウンデッド2ダイレクトを、見てきました。いやー、ていうか、このアウターワールズ2とグラウンデッドが意外とグラウンデッド2かが意外と面白そうやったんで、前作の両方の1があるので、ちょっと、ゲームパス対応してたらちょっと配信やったりとかしようかなと思います。配信できたらですけど、あと裏で触ってみたりとかして。というわけで、ご視聴ありがとうございました。もし、よければチャンネル登録、高評価などしていただけると嬉しいです。それでは失礼します。